Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where the orchard of wisdom shows are at your fingertips. It ignites your soul, your heart, your spirit, your mind, and your body with illumination from people who have made the journey before you. They're here now to help you on your journey, on your path of self-discovery. We are funded by you, the audience, and the people we interview. If you wish to support us, please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com and press on our Fund Action button. Anything is appreciated. We'd like you to sit back and enjoy the shows. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Self-Discovery Mediums, right here on Self-Discovery Media. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful guest today is Jim Hunt. We have a really diving in deep show here for you today. He is a medium, and he says, what happens when we die? He says, not ghost, we're going to be talking about that, but really we're going to be talking a lot about what currently is going on and what is predicted, because we're all on tenterhooks at the present moment, and we want to know what is happening. He is a psychic medium from the TV show Not Ghost, currently available on Amazon Prime. He travels the world searching for answers of some of the biggest questions about what happens when we die. He will also talk to us about his experiences and research in Eastern Canada's historical haunted locations, as well as his adventures over the years with Bigfoot, aliens, shapeshifters, and lots more. As an acclaimed psychic medium, he became aware of his sixth sense at a very early age, the age of 5. He's born in Montreal, half native psychic mother. He was raised, nurtured, and guided both from the living and the dead. It's all he knew. He had to embrace this gift because it would not shut itself off. With a degree in logistic engineering and certified in culinary arts, Jim set forth to enter the corporate world anonymously under the radar for nearly 2 decades. He was able to see the world, 60 cities in 30 different countries. It was an amazing experience. He knew it was his time for his life to take a new direction, and he was being called to live out his soul's mission to guide, educate, and to serve. And we are very happy that he is serving here today. His out-of-the-box approach to solving problems comes naturally. He never fit into what society deems as normal. It was an issue from growing up, and now he can see it's his greatest asset. I hear you, I hear you, I hear you, Jim. I grew up playing with dead people and alien people and traveling to different dimensions and just didn't understand why nobody else did it too. Welcome to the show.
Sarah, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you very much for all the people that are listening. I'm so looking forward to this.
Well, we do have an awful lot to talk about, and we were talking about Ukraine and Putin and everything beforehand, and I would actually like to go there. I mean, we're going to go definitely the tap on the shoulder or the cosmic 2x4, whichever came to you, of no, it doesn't matter how successful you are in this career, this is where you're meant to be. Was it a tap on the shoulder? Was it a cosmic 2x4? What was the turning point for you to go, okay, now the time is right for my gift to be accepted?
Um, it took a little bit of self-identification. Stop allowing people's opinions to control my
Mm-hmm,
personality
mm-hmm.
and to become an individual. Sadly, I lost family connections, very close friends I thought connections. But at the end of the day, I ended up being at peace for the very first time in 47 years.
I hear you.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
63 now. I'm not complaining. I'm loving it. I feel youthful. I have a 5-year-old at this age. I started my life a second time. This child is just as creative and adventurous as I was at 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the whole idea of doing this all over again.
Yes, the second chances, right? We can't avoid the instrument that we are. That
No.
the discovery of that is our life's journey. And once
Mhm.
we've discovered whatever that beautiful gift or that instrument is, we learn how to play it and join an orchestra, to resonate out with. Um, we can't deny who we are. Now, very often, especially our generation, I'm 67, we go down this road of life's expectation. You've got to, you must do this, you should do that, you've got to be like everyone else, and we kind of comply, but constantly feeling, we're an out of shape body trying to fit into a different image. And at some point, life just hits back and goes, okay, enough is enough. You have to be what you are meant to be here. And then when you do step into that, it's such a wonderful revelation of sense of self-acceptance,
It
of
is.
peace, and of just like, it's okay to be me.
It is. The reference to that is, unbeknownst to us who've come out in the way that we have, we suffered we suffered the PTSD
Mm,
syndrome of the human race who don't get it, who don't
yeah,
understand it, who will chastise us, will uh, throw their disbeliefs and even try and beat you and
yeah,
berate you to their common sense
yeah.
instead of letting you be. Their opinions were very strong. A lot of Catholicism is attached to this,
Mm,
and I'm anybody who knows me. I have no belief in God whatsoever, but I believe in the universe and a higher power. So I'm
mm,
a lot different than
right.
other people, but I don't struggle with it. But a lot of people do.
Mm,
I hear people speaking to me in my head. I would have been placed in an institution
yes,
40 years ago. Think
yes.
about that.
Probably not
So,
even 40, maybe even
no,
20.
probably not even. I think it was the opening of the internet that
Mm,
sort of allowed some state of freedom of choice and speaking, and you didn't have to be on the dark web to give out what
yes,
you had. I believe that people like me, and I'm going to be honest with you, I am good at what I do. I have no problems with what I do, but there are so many secretive psychic mediums
yes.
out there that are 100 times better than me, that can give the tons of advice that they need to, except they are still stuck.
Mm,
They haven't found that freedom of light yet, and they
right.
will, and then we're in trouble in a good
Well,
way.
yeah, but this is the thing that I've been saying now for quite a while. That that since 2012, the universe has been turning the volume up on us. Turning the energy up on us, and it's like you've got to go up a few more octaves. You've got to go a few more hertz. You've got to go a few more vibrations higher, higher, higher. We need you at the human race. We need you at a certain hertz to tip the scale. And once we're at that tipping that scale, then they can make themselves known and really come and guide us to where we're meant to be. Because I think we're behind time of where we're meant to be in development. Not maybe technology, but I think as a human race in the way we think.
In our
Uh,
soul's purpose we are, because
yeah,
we've only listened to man's words when we
yes,
haven't listened to the universe's words.
right, right. And those words, that they've got a whole vocabulary ready to give us. And so we have to kind of rise up to a certain energy level in order to receive it. And I think this is why there's such an awakening of people. And as you said, no more behind closed doors. The persecution that you receive from other people is only their fear and their ignorance. Don't take it on.
But I took it on for many,
Mm,
many years, and held myself back, and um, had tied my tongue.
yeah.
And people now know me very well, and they know that if they're going to say something, they better back it up with something.
Mm,
And if you're going to give an opinion of me, back it up. Let me know what it's about, because I'm not here to hurt you, to scare you, to
hmm.
give you anything bad. I'm here by the spirit world to give you information, advice that you is sitting in your psyche yourself, and
Yes.
just opening up those doors.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Every single one of us can open up those doors. Every single one of us can channel the beautiful gift that we are, and each one of us has different gifts for different purposes. uh,
Absolutely.
and if we're willing to open up and receive that channel, the knowingness, as I call it, that it comes from the soul, it resonates in an open heart, it goes to the spirit interaction, and the mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. This is data. It's just information, and if we don't know how to use it because we're not feeling the divine knowledge, then we're not knowing how to really use this knowledge productively.
What I tell the genders on our aspect, our age group, is you had to choose between beta and VHS. And people went VHS, but beta was better, but we didn't do it.
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
we don't get it. It
No.
just all depends on who is able to market themselves better to show off their
Right.
wares. Because what we have here are not gifts. I don't call them gifts. They're achievements that we've had throughout our soul lives that
Mm,
have brought us here. We've had multiple lives, we've had multiple personalities, and we get to share them quicker than most people do.
right. Well,
So,
they're a
in
gift to humanity because
there,
they help open
okay,
people up, right?
I'll go that far with you. Yes, I can.
um,
But it's something that we all have to respect because
mhm.
I respect anybody that's from picking garbage and putting
Yes,
it into a garbage truck to the scientist that's helping us work on COVID. I
exactly.
treat you all as equals. There's nobody better than me or you or
Yeah,
anyone else.
yeah. I'm a person that I really don't care what container you come in. What color, shape, size, age, or anything else. It's what I want to see is the heart and soul of you.
Agreed. Agreed.
I
100%.
think that is actually kind of something where we can even start as a humanity. Stop compartmentalizing everybody, putting everyone in a box. As you said, there is no box. Out of the box thinking. If we stop saying, well, you're Hispanic, you're black, you're white, you're this, you're that religion, you're that, and you've all got to go in this neat little compartment. Well, this segregation we know is what the detriment is. We are meant to be united, like a wonderful chorus, a wonderful choir, a wonderful orchestra, in harmony with each other, each with their own beautiful instrument. And the more that we take away these barriers, and the more that we realize is that we are connected and we're energy and we're constantly need to be in flow, the more we see of creativity, of solutions, of what really is possible. But we can't see that possibility if we're always kind of sliced and diced and put neatly in a little box and shut in a cupboard.
What I understand is everyone says it takes a village to help someone grow.
Yes.
I believe in that.
Oh,
But
yes.
let's go one step further. It takes the universe to help all of us grow.
Yes.
That's where we're coming to, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how we're going to be. So we're going to be satisfied by learning and understanding and accepting the things that we see and do out there. There has been, if you watch television, and I had a TV show, and doing what I did was great. It put my name out there, but it wasn't completely who I was. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
healer. I'm
Mm-hmm.
responsible for that, and to release the spirit world to go into the light that I see
Mm-hmm.
and let them have their chance to come back here and do something different.
Yeah.
But you get the investigators that will go in there without a psychic bone in their body
Right.
and convince us that everything is demonic and everything is evil.
Mm.
I think they're full of crap. And I'm
Yes.
being polite here right now. But
Yes.
I don't have very much empathy for them who are then controlled by the dark energy because they invited it. And
Right.
then they blame us for not being able to get rid of it off of them.
Yes, I agree with you. And of course, anytime you're talking any form of spirituality or anything like this in any shows, it's always a cult and it's always evil, right? And it's like, please get real. And this is again, those that don't wish to change, those that have been in control thus far, pushing back, because the last thing they want is people thinking or feeling for themselves. They want that everybody on the puppet string. And how do they keep people there? Fear. If I
Yes,
can keep you afraid and I can keep you ignorant, I can keep control over you. Well, who gives them that control? We do.
we do at all times. And that's why people congregate to people who see more light,
Mm,
who release, who like, who love, who impress people by saying, I see the dark energy there, but they're not getting my attention because that's what
yes,
they want.
yes.
So, and they get more frustrated with you, and they can't attack you like they see
Hmm.
on media, social media. They can, but you're provoking them. If you don't
Right.
provoke the bear, they're not going to attack you.
Precisely. What you feed is what's going to grow. And if you're dabbling in the darkness, well, the darkness will take hold,
It
right?
will.
If you
It
if
will.
if you're going to go into the light, then be prepared to open up those eyes. And at first you might be blinded, but then you will see. And really, we have to take onus and responsibility for our own choices, our own actions, and what we choose to feed.
And that's a majority of it. There are the poltergeists
Yes,
or the dangerous ones that come out without being provoked, but we have them in life as much as we have
yes,
them
we do.
in the spirit
Piranhas.
world. And what we do is we suffocate them at the end
Mm,
of the day and not give them what they're looking for, and they move on.
right. Now, I mean, I being kind of body snatched myself. I was dabbling too much without protection, kind of just really investigating. I was young, I was investigating without kind of the right protection over myself. And I ended up with an entity that either knew he was dead or didn't want to be, but wanted my body, right? And it literally, I was sharing a house with a bunch of people, and it literally took 4 people to hold me down as I'm literally trying to scratch myself to death here. And it scared the bejeebers out of them. I ended up losing 4 pints of blood. I mean, it really was quite a thing. And it was a big lesson to me as to, that if you are going to go into that dark side unprotected, there will be those that will latch
There are
on to you.
ramifications. There
Yes,
are ramifications.
absolutely. So it is, again, buyer beware. And it was a big lesson for me, like, no, let's close that door. We don't need to go down there. We can go and investigate other areas. So it was a big lesson. But of course, people think when you say that, oh, it could happen to me. That's why I don't want to open any door. Well, if you open the door to that light, open that channel to the universe, and with that beautiful wisdom that comes through, that guidance that comes through, there is such a sense of peace and acceptance and knowingness and truth with it that it can't be a lie.
Exactly. And we
You will
work.
know the difference.
Oh, I feel the difference.
Mm,
What you see behind me
yes,
is what protects me. And if you notice, on the right side of me is the darker energy, which I very rarely pay attention to. They do give you answers,
yes,
but it's more of there's a choice that comes with those answers from the right side of my energy, that they'll give you the answer, but there's going to be a consequence with it. Everything is lighter on my left side, where the lighter energy is more heart-strung,
mm,
heartfelt, heart chakra side. I'm giving you the answers, I'm sending you messages, and I'm going to give it to you. And the divine always works above us. So the white
yes.
light is always staying above us. There is no hell, really, in my
Well,
humble opinion. Hell is what we're
earth
in.
can be hell. Life can be hell if you're living it wrong.
But if you're living it in a way, in an existence that belongs to you, and you take ownership of the things that you've done, no matter what you do, you're going to come out smelling like a rose, or you're going to be okay.
Mhm.
I'm fine with a handful of friends that I can trust for the rest of my life. I
Exactly.
can live without my family who disowned me because I'm an embarrassment to them, or friends. But it took me a long time to get there
Yes. Yeah.
because I had to respect myself. And very rarely, which we talked about before the show, is I want to thank the millennial side of this.
Yes.
The millennials have opened up doors because they see things in a different light. They see things differently, and they're not allowing old school values to control their emotions and what's in front of them. I don't think that they're as lazy and as
Mhm.
they're just misunderstood human beings who are more spiritual than anybody else has been in any other era for me.
I have 3 millennials, and they have more consciousness than we did, in the sense of knowing there's something more. Willing to read and to learn, willing to feel it, but also more consciousness over the need to support humanity, to have a conscience, so, either vegan or vegetarian, or give back, you know, um, you know, protecting the planet. I have a little grandson that turns 1 this week, and boy, oh boy, do I feel with him that he is going to be a messenger in a very big way. And it is that consciousness that's in them, where they say, I may not have all the answers, but I'm not buying
Mm-hmm.
what you guys bought. I will go and investigate for myself and see and feel for myself. And I think that openness, as you said, has opened up the door. But as we talked beforehand, the internet. I started doing these shows in April 2012, so 10 years now. And I didn't even know what a podcast was when I was asked to join a particular network. But it came to me at that point, at that crossroad, is like, do I want to stay here anymore? Because I was just so disgusted with humanity. And I just thought, it's such a battle, as a spirit, as a essence, to live here amongst this. And in doing the shows and meeting all the people that are the light workers, those that are, have gone through the process of life and are there to help others, it brought back my belief that we can do this, we can get through this, we can turn this tide. And in the 10 years, some of the people that I've interviewed have just been absolutely awesome. And having people like yourself on openly, willingly talking about channeling the knowledge that you need to channel in order to heal and to help people is now becoming in many ways mainstream,
It
which
is.
even 10 years ago, it was still, ooh, I'm not sure. And now it's like, I want to know more.
It's I'm a life coach as well, an intuitive life coach, and I'm able to get people into a direction of what they want to do. I don't do the work for you,
Right.
but I
You,
certainly make it easier for them
you give
because
them the map.
I give them the map
Yes.
and I let them know where their barriers are because of their past lives. We
Yes.
sort of digress and regress into what they've done, and let's overcome this. Let's remove the contracts that you've had from so many soul lives. Let's look at this seriously and try and feel on the intuitive side and the emotional side of letting things go and not feeling responsible for others other than ourselves. Or
Yes.
the responsible thing of an adolescent, my daughter, and my wife, the responsibility is there, but they're adults too, and they have to make their choices.
Yeah. And as as you said, we're not there to do it for you. Yeah.
No,
I've been a reader since a child. I was also that, as I said, that knowingness person. I would tell my teachers, I would tell adults something. "Uh, Where did you get that from? I don't know. Can you repeat it? No. Because what came through is what they needed to know in that moment. I was just purely that conduit for them. And I didn't even understand, from childhood what it was. It just was. And it's always been that way.
my grade one was drawing stick people because I wasn't a great artist back in the day with rainbows around everyone.
Hmm.
And I went to a Catholic school, and the nuns say, "Why do you have rainbows around everybody that you've drawn?" And I just said, "Doesn't everybody have a rainbow?"
Exactly.
And they just looked at me and, well, this kid's strange.
Yes.
But that's how it started.
Yes. And if we today encourage our children, who are those beautiful indigo kids, those kids that have already got those open channels, and we, not even allow, but support those beautiful channels in them, they become those answers and those leaders for this next world that we are now breaking into, because we are in a massive change. The universe is here to shake us up, wake us up, for us to step up, change it up, and grow up. Many people have taken on the call and have stepped up and are changing up and are growing up, but there's still an awful lot of people that are just being shaken up and
They've been shaken up
retaliating.
and retaliating only out of fear.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's like it is kind of, I feel, get on the energetic bandwagon, otherwise you will be totally left behind.
Agreed. And all we are the announcers for that. And we're not, this is not cultish in anything that we
No,
do. The spirit world is open to everyone.
absolutely
So
everyone.
figure that one out, everybody. Like
Mm,
somebody has had something, even the agnostic or the atheist, they say, oh, it's scientific, is what they'd rather say.
yes,
But something has happened, and it's happened to all of us. And it's not, I don't persecute people for not believing.
no,
We used to. We
yeah,
used to.
yeah,
And now we've stopped because then we just say, okay, I'm going to stop there because it's futile. I'm not going to explain
yeah,
myself anymore. Let me use my energy to help somebody else want to move forward.
precisely.
And that's what we do now.
And I say inspiration begets invitation. When
Yes.
you've inspired someone, it invites them to want to take those steps forward themselves, right? But all we can do is inspire. All we can do is invite. All we can do is show there's a safe passage. But everybody else has to walk it. They have to be on their own self-discovery of what is their instrument. What are they here to do? And invariably, we all find there is a particular something that is our forte, that is our strength, that is our calling, our gift, our meaningful purpose. And when we step into that, that is what the beautiful, I'm going to use the word gift, that you've been given to share with the world. And that's the channeling and everything that will come through it. But we've got to discover what that is. And that means we've got to be willing to go through the process and the journey to get there.
We all have words that we create our own dictionary in our spirit world because this is what we understand and that's what we live with and that's what other people understand. But as we get better in the spiritual concept of things, We'll have our own dictionary.
Hmm.
Everything will be explained because we're trying to do it now without feeling guilty about what we have to say. So the world's going to listen to us a little bit differently. What's happening in our world today is one of the most frightening, heaviest energies I have ever felt in my life, other than being 6 or 7 during the Cold War when that happened.
Mm.
I remember the energy. I don't remember the circumstance. I was a child, but I always asked my mother, why is everybody angry?
Hmm.
And she would just say, there's things going on, it'll be okay. And you just go, okay, I'll go back to the sandbox and play with my spirit guides and do
Yes.
my thing.
Yes.
But today we're feeling the same thing.
Yeah, we are, and for good reason,
Yes,
because I think we are, we're on the cusp there
we
of
are.
massive change, and a change that needs to happen, but also a certain thing that needs to be prevented. And, as we talked before, people can say, yes, there's been lots of wars, Syria, Bosnia, this, that, etc. There's been a lot of wars. Why is this one so important? Now you have to look at who is doing the war, how dangerous it is. And when somebody starts throwing around, I'll nuke you, and throwing it out so callously, and it's a person who's a narcissistic psychopath, that means that there is no consciousness in them whatsoever. There's no light in them whatsoever. They really don't care who they hurt as long as they get what they want. And
And
that's the scariness.
many of the wars that you spoke about were a lot of religious wars. This is
Mhm.
not a religious war.
No.
This is a controlling
Yes,
aspect of
absolutely. Power, power.
it's all
It's
power.
an
And
insecurity war because he's so insecure in himself. The more he wants makes him feel more powerful because he can't find the power within him.
and he's already been embarrassed by the Ukraine. He's already been embarrassed by the world. So now he wants to flick that switch
Yes.
any faster than he can,
Yeah.
because he knows that this is not going to end well for him.
Yeah.
He'll be put in history as a memory of somebody who was in control, that we can find another fascist to do the same thing.
Hmm. And of course, somebody like him, it's that historical view of him is very important. They
It
want
is.
to be known as the great,
Yeah.
right? And so those are dangerous people because without that consciousness, they'll go and do anything to try and be that great. Um,
I
and if,
just do not like the fear that he's instilled into the world.
no,
And one man, really, and we're sitting on our hands saying nothing. And if the whole world would step up, this man would cower because there would be nothing left for him to do other than press a button.
well, we talked about the internet before, and how the internet has opened up. Like as I said, 10 years of doing this, 3,000 shows out there. Whether people listen or not, the vibration has already gone.
Yes.
The goodwill has already gone out there. But more and more people are listening, are looking, are paying attention. But it's also, we've never ever seen a war that's been fought so much in social media. And we've got to remember that for everybody that's sending prayers to Ukraine and, wishing for Putin to lose, that energy is being bombarded at him. That he's feeling it. He may not know what he's feeling, but he's feeling it. And we can be that difference to turn the tide.
And it just takes the politicians to be human beings for a change and think of us as a united country of
Yeah,
one, not being controlled by one.
right. Exactly. There is definitely a massive change coming. As predicted. We'll ask what your predictions are, but it's I think we're going to see a whole political arena type change coming in about a shakeup. I think we're going to see an economic crisis and a complete change in that. I feel there's going to be a domino effect of the things that are all happening. And like in the Celtic runes, Haglas, disruption, I think we're going to have more disruption before we can have the calmness because we need to get rid of some of the old programming.
I think a lot of that's going to happen, and I think that's where the ET world comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and they will be saying, "Enough of you little kitties here.
Yes,
We're going to spank your bottoms. This is enough. Let's move on," and disarm us. I'm
yes,
really feeling that.
yes, yes. And we need them. Will you hurry up? Please.
That's us as spirits, and everyone's looking at us that we're odd.
I
Same.
don't care if they're, I've long since stopped caring. It is, with these podcasts, you can listen or not listen. and that's your prerogative. But if you are listening, you're going to hear our point of view. And if you don't agree with it, that's okay. But how about you just digest it and try and look at it from a different point of view other than your own?
So far, the podcasts that I've done, I've gotten a lot of love, but in some of the things that I've had more hate mail than I have had love.
I actually once had a podcaster on here who'd been doing it longer than me, and she kept saying, "What do you do with the hate mail?" And I said, in all honesty, I've never had one. I've never had one.
Beautiful.
And so I'm very blessed that way. But I think it's I bring heart to everything I do, even if it's a show that maybe is dabbling on something that I might not quite agree with. Um, but it's up to how the people receive it. We put it out there. What they do with it is up to them, right? But it's
I had
sent out with goodwill.
190 hate mails in 35 minutes.
Wow, what were you saying that shook them
Um,
up so much?
I think a majority of it was the disbelievers, the ones that have institutionalized the spirit people that they
Yeah,
think that they're sociopaths or
yeah,
psychopaths or schizophrenics. And I'm just saying, if you stop using the medication on them for 30 seconds and find out exactly where they're from, maybe you'll know something. And it was the mail from the ones that really had the sociopathic families or the schizophrenic family members or the mentally ill families that were on me for that, saying that we're all mentally ill because that's what they're in. So I was getting that saying, you're not a doctor, you're not this.
right, right. Yeah.
I know I'm not. But there's also there's alternatives in listening to see what they're after first
You're,
and
you're,
discover them.
absolutely, you're absolutely right. I've interviewed quite a number of people that were institutionalized or treated with a mental disorder, and really what it was spirits trying to come through, right? Trying to come through, and when they finally let them come through and heard their voice, then they really stepped into what they were meant to do. And we
Absolutely.
as a society, again, want to go back to label. There's got to be something wrong with you. You're not thinking the same as everybody. You're irrational. So therefore, you're either schizophrenic or having a mental breakdown. And or depression. I suffer from depression. I'm an empath, and it's really hard to kind of stop the bombardment of the heavy weight going on all the time. But it is the lack of willingness to understand that this is something even beyond the medical's comprehension, and perhaps they need to bring in the other realm to actually understand what's really happening to the people instead of persecuting them. What happened to you?
Exactly. I was institutionalized at 6 before I started grade school, and it was during
At
the summer.
6?
Yeah.
At 6? What did you do at 6 to be institutionalized?
I said that someone was going to pass away before they passed away.
Have they institutionalized you for that?
They wanted to know what I was all about, and they put me in a hospital for 3 days. I could not see my mother, my parents, or anything. And imagine back in the 60s when you had this white table in this white room
Oh, I
and
hate
just this
white.
little half glass, and I'm sitting at a chair in my beige shorts and misplaced socks and waiting for my mother to come in. And she leaned over very quietly and just said, "Tell him it was all a lie. Tell him you
Mm,
were lying."
right.
And I said, "Okay." She came in, 24 hours later, came and picked me up. The doctor beside her and the psychiatrist beside her said to my mother that your son is a prolific liar and he'll die or commit suicide before the age of 16. Please leave now.
Good God. Good God. Oh, well, if you talk about a problem, that's that. That's what there right now. Oh, yes. I've never been that far, fortunately. I was
That is
just
my
considered
only
the odd one.
memory. That's my only memory as a
Wow.
child at that age. I
Wow.
don't remember coloring with kids and
Wow.
playing in the park and going swimming and doing all of those things. I remember the institution, being placed in there, tied down to a bed, those little needles to see your brain waves at the time because
Jesus.
they
Oh,
didn't put a helmet on
that's
you at the time.
abuse. That
No,
is abuse.
back in the 60s, it wasn't abuse.
Oh my God. Right. No, I mean, I played with dead people or dimensional people, whatever. But I think what it was with me is my mum was very fey. So she already had some of this psychic ability, even though she didn't talk about it, but I think she kind of maybe recognized it. But I was a very sickly child from the age of 2, and I'd be bedbound a lot. And so when I was put into bed, it'd be weeks on end. I would get my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She'd come in and check me if I had an asthma attack. But most of the time I was on my own. And I remember my first room was white. I hate white. I like white as a contrast, but I don't like white rooms.
Yeah.
And but it that's that's when the other dimensions started opening up to me. And for me, I just couldn't tell the difference between that dimension and this one. They were all one for me. But I think because I was so ill and I missed so much school, I was just kind of considered slow, not academic. And let's just hope she has a good marriage. She's a free spirit and nothing was ever expected of me.
I always felt special. During that time, that incarceration, I was protected by the spirit world because I already knew things. And my loneliness was filled with them projecting cartoons on the wall in my bed. And I watched cartoon after cartoon after cartoon when I couldn't sleep, and they protected me. So
Mm.
you have to understand that there are such good spirits out
Yes.
there, and they were
Yes.
protecting my ass, and they
Yeah.
were making me say, "You're here for a reason. There's a reason why you're here, and this is why I'm doing this today. I'm
Right.
here for that reason. I've been disowned and disliked and whatever else they want to call me, and I really don't care. I
It's
just
their problem, not yours. It's their problem, right? It's
I'm not
that's
looking for a pity party here. None of this
no.
is a
Hey,
pity
look,
party.
it took me 50 years. It took me 50 years to stop trying to bend myself into a pretzel to be what everybody else wanted me to be, what everybody else
47 for me.
accepted me to be. And it was like, at some point, it came to me, just be you. You're enough. And if you're not enough for them, it's okay. They can go and find someone else.
Yep.
And it was a long haul. And and now I can actually say it. As Popeye says, I am what I am. you know, and I'm quite happy with who I am. And you can take me or leave me, I'm not offended. But I just look back at 50 years of a waste of life. And the thing is, I couldn't not be who I was because,
I think it was
I
a,
would
to
end
be
up in
honest,
odd places talking to people
Sarah,
and
I think
doing
it
things
was
that I
for
shouldn't be
us.
doing.
We wouldn't be able to, Sarah, we wouldn't have been able to catch up to ourselves and be understood. And that's why there was such a delay in our abilities to
Yeah.
come out and be forward. Because if we did this in the 70s, they would have, nobody would have listened. We would have been on the streets. We wouldn't have been able to retain a job. There would have been a lot of things that we would have been looked at differently.
Yeah.
My high school was the worst part of my life, and I ended up trying to get along with everyone. I ended up being the president of my graduating class with horrible marks, and but because I was a part of the people, and my cheat was I was a psychic, so I was reading who I should get along with and who I shouldn't get along with.
Yeah.
So it put me into that protection mode. So I was being
Yes.
protected by the dead.
And I find myself doing that too. I kind of became almost like the village idiot that entertained everyone, and I was the natural leader into doing things. I actually, I was open the fact that I was a reader, and my mother and I did a psychic fair as a fundraiser for one of the schools I was at, and that seemed to be accepted. But I think for me, it's always been this. You've got to have this academic achievement, and that was never for me. I only need to know what I need to know when I need to know it. Why do I need to have all this information? And I couldn't retain it. I could not retain the information. It was just unnecessary, and then I was measuring myself against that. So therefore, I must be dumb, right?
It was our fault. Everything was our fault.
Yes, exactly.
But we took the blame.
Of course, the self-persecution, right?
We're empaths.
Yes. And then the break free. And then, as I said, you probably could not help. I can't help. Um, we're seers and we see things. And like people, I've even done it on shows where people are talking and I've gone into a da 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 da, and I can't help it because it's what's needed to be said at that time. It's not for me to shut up. It
No,
is for me to say something because it is what they need to know at that time, even though I'm interviewing them. And it doesn't happen all the time. It just happens when it needs to.
it's the proper forum at that time, and
Yes,
usually they're accepting of it, right? So
yes,
it's always working.
yes.
It's, I get people who book with me, and I sit there and I'm looking, and they're telling me the do's and don'ts and what's happening with them. And I'm just saying, well, you're blocked because of this. You're doing this to yourself right now. You're doing this to yourself right now. They start to emotionally get involved with it and they just say, I don't know how to stop it. And I
Right.
say, well, life coaching, seeing a therapist will help you because the psychiatry side of the world, I am very, very, I don't like them since my episode. And I have
Right.
never met a good psychiatrist in my lifetime. I'm 63.
You're right.
So
I agree. I have gone to them because I was troubled, and I would sick. I'd wake up where I would have weeping eczema, which is a
yep.
whole thing. My whole body would react, everything going on. And apart from one psychiatrist who kept me waiting 40 minutes and spent the entire time about how did I feel about being kept waiting. And that's all she wanted was a reaction on why I'm being kept waiting. And I said, well, clearly this is a waste of time. All the other psychiatrists that I saw, I ended up coaching them.
They look at us differently, for
Yeah.
sure, especially if we're going to release the information and say, hey, guess what? I'm a psychic medium and I see dead people. I'm looking
Yes.
at your grandfather over there, and it certainly isn't Freud. So figure it out.
Yes. Yeah. And yet there are other people that really do want to know, and that's why people do go to psychics. But do you find that people come with a preordained what they want? And I hate the word fortune teller because no, it's not reading your fortune. We're just seers, and we're only
Um,
going to see what we're meant to see.
Here's my take on this. They have a lot of those psychics that will do that.
Yes.
I'm not one of those.
Right.
And on my website, it says that.
Yeah.
I'll give you the past, present, and future if you want, but that's not what you're here for.
Right.
And they know it
Yes.
when they read into what I have to say. And right away, I'm just saying, all right, you haven't taken care of your health. When was the last time you saw a doctor? Why are you doing this to yourself? And
Yeah.
they're going boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden, it's that. And it's not a repeat to every single individual that I read. They have
Right.
other issues going on.
Yes.
They have their disbeliefs or they're being held back because of family. And I'm just saying, you had a contract with your mother, and that's why you're still doing this. Break
Mm-hmm.
the contract today, and you won't have to do it the next life.
Uh-huh. Right.
Simple things.
Yes, but that's a big point that you brought up with. I always say, really, quite honestly, whatever shoot you're carrying from past life, from your DNA life, from this life, it has to be cleared out. Otherwise, you're imposing it on the next life.
And you are, and it gets worse. It doesn't get
Yes,
better.
yes,
But they don't figure. They say, "Oh, I put up with it this long," and then go, and then you wonder why you're struggling. You're
right.
wondering why you're in a sandstorm.
Do you find that for a lot of people, and this is fine, is the taking responsibility of self? People like to point a finger. It's government, it's society, it's this, but there's three pointing back at them saying, well, what are you doing about it? Where's your onus? What responsibility are you taking with your choices? And that so many people have been caught up in the same programming for so long, maybe past lives, DNA lives, etc., ancestral, that they don't know how to break a program, and that the effort to break the program sometimes feels more daunting than it is to live with it.
Because we grew up in fear and opinion,
Mm,
and we've never been allowed to be ourselves. Imagine me waiting 47 years to be
yes,
Jim Hunt.
yes,
And I am enjoying every single minute of my life now.
yeah,
I'm not being punished by anyone. I
right.
lose a friend, I gain a friend. I get it. It's part of life. I'm not responsible for you, but I'm responsible for me. And if you don't get that, I'm sorry. I will love to have a barbecue with you and
Mm,
let's break bread and have a drink and talk and do whatever we're doing. But don't go behind my back and just say, well, he's the weirdest guy I ever met.
yeah,
Tell me to my face and tell
yeah,
me why it was weird.
yeah,
It,
yes,
they're fearful.
yes. And let's face it, fear is crippling.
It is.
Fear is going to cause dis-ease in your body. Fear is going to stop any form of creativity or solutions. Fear is going to lead to the judgment, the hate, and the violence. So we have to stand up to fear and go, but what am I really afraid of? It is a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of knowing. If I'm willing to understand or to know or to investigate, then fear doesn't have the grip.
I have two people in my life that respect me, Jill, my wife, and Christopher, my best friend. The reason why I say these names and like that, and then we said, of course you're going to say your wife. I'm not.
No.
She's a Gemini that is everywhere, but is an amazing person and gives me permission to be Jim Hunt.
Right.
She's not antagonizing me. She doesn't ask me a million questions, and neither does Chris. We have our time when you need to have an answer. A husband and a wife have to give each other information and stuff, and we don't withhold from one another.
Mm.
And my best friend doesn't say, "Well, I had a shitty day at work. What was the moon like for you?" And I'm going, he's never asked me that.
Right.
He's never asked me anything. I've given him
Mm.
information. And I say first, can I have permission to give you some spiritual information? He'll just say, give it to me, dude. But do I
Mm.
need a drink first? And I said, maybe.
Yeah, I have what I call different people for different channels. I have a bestie that's been there for me through thick and thin. Absolutely wonderful. She's my adopted sister, so
Beautiful.
adopted aunt to my children. But I don't think she's ever listened to one of my shows, but a huge advocate on them and always telling people about them. I have a couple of other people that are at different spiritual levels. One I can really talk deep, and another one kind of more surface. And the thing is that we're capable of switching channels and communicating with people on many levels. We don't expect everyone to be, all this spiritual barter that goes back and forth. It's very nice when you can talk with people like that, but also we can talk with people normally on other things, even the weather.
Exactly. Which is amazing here in Toronto today. So
Not here, pissing with rain.
well, there you go. We had some sunshine, and I was playing Barbies out on the balcony or on the deck with my daughter earlier. So
Yeah,
amazing.
what fun. Oh, I remember the Barbie days. Yes. And actually that I was, as I was such a lonely child, and that's actually something, I'm going to ask you this question. For me, I think the biggest thing that's been harder is always the sense of being alone.
Yes.
And lonely, even a crowd. You're talking to people, but nobody's really seeing you, nobody's really hearing you. And even today, I know a lot of people and we communicate back and forth, but my circle is extremely small at home. That loneliness is still there. And I think it's also a lot to do with the work that I do, because uh, I'm at the other end of the bridge of people crossing over, looking for the information. And I'm that doorkeeper,
You're
this
the
person,
conduit.
that person. Yeah. Which can be lonely because you're not part of the crowd. You're helping people go through into that crowd. Do you find that?
I find that I'm limited to the people that I associate with. If we go to a summer barbecue or to a festivity of somebody that my wife might know, and they find out what I do, and then I'm the party favor at that point. Can you
Right.
tell me this? Can you tell me that?
Yeah.
I'm going, hang on, I'm off duty, and then they call you an asshole.
Right. I don't get that so much. It, the,
No, I
inter-
do.
the interesting thing is my son has always wanted me to monetize. Mom, he's the businessman. You've got to run it like a business. You've got to do this and that. And eventually, in the 8th year, he said to me, I understand, Mom. I understand. You're philanthropic. You do this by donation. And it's not about the money for you. That it is that the information that you are sharing is worth more than money. Now, it doesn't mean to say I don't accept money or don't like money. Nothing to do with that. It's just that the commitment that I have made to getting information out like you're sharing today is more important than my salary. And that is what I have to do willy-nilly. And he finally got it. He finally got it, that the enrichment and the abundance is in the knowledge.
I'll give people information, and it's not dangling a carrot in front of the cart. It is, this is information you need to hear.
Yes,
I can only go so far because I have other things to do, and I'm on my way to someplace else that I need to give somebody else
yes,
information to.
exactly.
Contact me, and I'll help you, and I'll give you more balanced information, what you need to
Mm,
understand, how it's going to work for you. And listen, most psychic mediums or most intuitive people who are advisors are not there to give you bad news.
right.
We're not
I
there to
mean,
give you bad news.
I have had twice in all the times that I've read or done, I've seen a 13-year-old, literally nothing in her future whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. And I just said, the cards aren't with you today. She was dead within a week. And I saw one of my best friends. And what I told her to do was go home and say goodbye to your dad. And I made it look like it was her dad passing over. And she did. She went home and saw family. And she then died of an aneurysm. And people think, oh, you're going to see my death. I don't want to see that. No, we don't see that per se. We see what's in
That's
front of
not
you.
our
No,
responsibility.
no, it isn't. What we're given and what we see is what we have to do. I wasn't going to tell a 13-year-old there was nothing in her future.
Can you imagine? Can
Right.
you imagine?
Yeah,
We would be burnt at the stake. We would be
exactly.
those
And we
witches.
probably
And
have been in past lives. I know I have.
absolutely.
But
I know what we see, but
exactly. And why are we shown it? Well, in the case of my friend, at least her father and friends in the family there had closure with her before she died. And she had that. Even though she thought it was him going, not her. There was a little white lie, but it served the purpose. But, but it doesn't happen often that I ever see the death. I see the
my mother,
choices.
my mother, an intuitive, a very amazing woman, very empathic, enabled a little bit too much, but I love her anyway. Um, I was 14 when I said, "You're not doing well, are you?" And she said, "No, I'm not," because she had cancer at my when I was 5, and my sisters were 3 and 1, and she went into remission until I was old enough to take care of myself. So I knew what was happening, and I'm disliked for knowing what was happening when I speak about it, and they just say, "No, you think you know everything," kind of stuff from
Mm-hmm.
the family.
Mm-hmm.
But who was in the room with her only when she passed away? Who was the
Exactly.
one that held her hand on her last breath?
Mm-hmm.
She gave birth to her first child, and I let her go
Mm.
as her firstborn, and I held her hand until she passed away. To me, that was the most lovely experience I've ever had in my life,
Yeah.
you know? And she did not come back to talk to me for another 10 years. And when I did ask for her to come back, I got in crap from her for 15 minutes. Why are you bothering me? I'm okay where I am. Leave me
Yes.
alone. You need to move forward. Stop asking questions. You've got this.
Yes.
Wow, mom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah.
she should have done with me when I was alive.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, my children have lost friends, um, car accidents or violence or this or that. And I remember, my son had he was out with a bunch of friends celebrating a friend's birthday, and they were responsible enough to take a hotel because they knew they were going to be drinking, and they're on the way back to their hotel, and these guys came up and started picking up a fight. And as two of them were pounding on one friend and they're trying to get the people off, the other guy brought out a gun and just randomly shot, and could easily have shot my son, ended up shooting his friend, and then watching his friend die, and then watching his father, who had come to this country to get away from violence, having to see his father being told that he'd died. But when I went to the funeral, the son was there, and he was so surprised of how many people had turned up, and he was really kind of quite blown away. And I ended up telling my son and his friends, I said, look, he's here and he's very honored how many people turned up, but please would you look after his mom? She's not doing well. And my son was embarrassed and kind of turned on me for that, right? But again, whether they turn on us or not, sometimes the information just has to be out there.
It does. And we're not looking for accolades. We're not
No,
looking for a pat on the back.
no,
It's a message. And if we
it's a
don't
mess.
share that message, we're going to get in shit from the
Yes,
spirit world.
we are, which is far worse than your human shit. So
Sorry about the swear word. I'm trying to be very polite. I'm an F-bomb dropper, so I'm very careful today.
um, let's talk about where we're going in the future. As I said, I see very much there's a radical change happening. There's this huge shakeup, and it's because we are meant to be stepping in more into the peaceful world. We are meant to be stepping more into that equilibrium and raising up that vibration of love, which scientists have begun to measure and realize that people who live in spirituality and live in the love vibration are actually resonating at a higher frequency. So scientists are beginning to get on board. But I think Putin at the present moment is that last straw, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
He's that we've had the pandemic, we've had this, we've had that, we've had people oppose the vaccine and oppose the passes and all of that. And now we've got Putin, and it's like the last straw. People just want some peace. And I feel that he's doing it for a reason. And I feel that also it would be someone in his own party that would take him out, because the last thing they want is nuclear war. And this is kind of a changing catalyst happening.
I'm with I sit down with a circle of psychics who have conversations about world affairs that I listen to. I very rarely participate. I love hearing,
Mm,
but I know that this man's going to be taken out.
yeah,
I know, like you say, within his own party,
yeah.
someone is going to be taken. I think that once we find out in the Ukraine how Putin has put people in the Ukraine government as spies to know
Mm,
what's going on. And as soon as that's found out, this man is going to be taken care of.
mm,
Putin will be no more. And I'm looking forward to that as a human being.
yes.
Stop this. And maybe now we can start thinking differently. And I think China will learn from this as well.
Right. Be warned. Yes. The other beautiful thing that's happened is the fact through the internet of how many people have been supportive over the Ukraine and even over the Russian people, because they're just as much a victim of Putin as the
Yeah.
Ukrainians are, and how much support has gone out, which means every person that's posted something with love, with support, is energy bombarding and supporting the Ukrainians and against Putin. And he's got to be feeling this because the world has turned against him.
We're breaking his bubbles that he
Yeah.
was protected in the past, and he's now seeing that his own people are giving up on him.
Yeah.
And even with blocking the internet from the world,
Yeah.
you know, they don't know how dark the internet is, and you can get on anything
Yeah.
anywhere. And he believes in his head that he has all of this control, and he's losing it day by day by
Yeah.
day. And I love every minute of it because
Yes.
it's like watching a demon fade into the dark and never
Right.
come back again. It's
Yes. But
beautiful. It's
but
a
I think
beautiful thing.
it is a warning to the other demons out there, which we have it in Brazil, China, um, you know, uh, past
Oh,
America, hopefully not to raise the head again. But, it's a warning to there that we have stood up and we're not going to take this shit anymore. We've been through hell and back for the last 2.5 years. We want peace. We want balance. We want to step into our essence. We're not going to take this anymore. And, it's, talking about your mother, my mom died in 2015, and she was very, very sick and she was dying, but she just couldn't cross over. And it was a rainy day like we have here, and my sister was with her. And my sister went to make a cup of tea, and apparently the sunlight just came through the window, shone down on my mom. But back up first, I put out a prayer vigil to people that I knew on social media, the people that follow me, many people that I've interviewed, and said, my mom needs help in crossing over. Can you send her light? Can you send her the angels that can help her cross over? And each one will send in their own belief. I had about 130 people who not just said this, but sent the prayers. And it was within 24 hours that that light came through the window. My mom apparently opened up her eyes and opened up her hands. I just ascended peacefully. So that power of positive thinking, that power of love, that power of prayer, whatever you want to call it, that energy that you're sending over is so powerful. And if all of us right now that are against Putin came together in that energy of however way it's meant to happen, be gone, bring back peace, we're going to see it happen.
absolutely. It will be gone. It will be different. We're all going to have to reorganize our feelings, our thoughts of what's going to do. I don't see us disarming right away, but it's going to come to a place where the nations themselves will just say that this was the biggest threat we've had in a millennial of time, and
Yeah.
this needs to be fixed, and this has to stop. We will always have our sociopaths
Mm.
in power. We've got Trump,
Yes.
we've got all of these different people. I'm going to get hate mail just by saying that today, by the
No,
way.
I don't care. No, no, you won't. No. Folks,
It's
don't you
okay.
dare. Trump cannot come back into power. The Brazilian president has to go. Chinese president has to go. We've got to get rid of the dictators. Sorry.
but I believe wholeheartedly our energy has shifted
Yeah.
towards peace.
Yes.
And we're tired.
Yes.
Every human being is tired of being bullied.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
bullying is going to stop. We're not taking it anymore. We're not defenseless anymore. We
No.
have a united world that is saying enough. We're watching it happen, and it'll continue to grow. And I know that for a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah, exactly. And I think this is where the pandemic was such a lovely gift to us in a way. And, I'm not talking about the people that lost their lives, but I'm talking about the people that had a pause, a time to reflect, a time to go in. So many people have pivoted into a different direction, but also where did the spotlight go? It went
Mhm.
on the people that everyone's taken for granted, our grocery workers, our truck drivers, our janitors, our nurses, our doctors. We saw them for the heroes that they are, the people, everyday people that we just take for granted. And all these big CIOs, Fortune 500s that we look at and go, I want to be like them, up in their ivory towers. It then shed the light on them. And what are you doing, mate? These people are working against all odds, putting themselves at risk for us, for you. What are you doing? And it really shed that light altogether on who really the heroes are.
Absolutely. And I believe in that, sir, more than anything. And it's just, this is where we're going to come to our senses,
Mm,
where the world, the governments have been trying to make us either rich or poor. And
yeah,
that's not going to happen now.
no, no.
It's being taken away from them and they know it.
Yes. It's life is about balance. And I know Mother Earth has been hurting for so long. All this hate, all this anger, all this bitterness that's been going on that is literally cracking her up.
Hmm.
And she can't take this anymore. In order to bring balance back to Mother Earth, we have to bring peace on top of Mother Earth. And that means we have to be the peace that we seek. And it's not about somebody else giving you the peace or creating the peace for you. It's about you being the peace because you are part of the equation. If you're living on this planet, you're using its resources, you're renting space here, your entire life's actions are accountable for. And if you're spewing the hate, then you are not a contributor. If
At
you
all.
if you are contributing the love, then you are a feeder, you're a solutioner. And again, choose. One of the practices I did in my own counseling was I had people write in a column everything that they felt was against them, all this they didn't like, all the negatives, and then all the things to be grateful for. And then I would say to them, okay, which one do you want to grow? Which one do you want to see grow and become better? When generally it's the gratitude, then what are you feeding?
Exactly.
Feed the gratitude. Let that list grow. Start looking at all the beautiful things. Like as I would say to people with the pandemic that were moan about being locked down, do you have a missile aimed at your building? Do you have a Nazi knocking at your door, taking you off to a death camp? Right? No. You have had the privilege of staying at home, of having time with self or with family. What a gift that is.
Hmm.
Look at it as the gift.
And we have to.
We do. We have to look at everything as a gift, really, even the negative, because the negative there is to show us what's wrong and invite us to put things of what's right.
Agreed.
So when people come to you, you have the coaching, you have the psychic coaching. Um, do people come to you kind of for the coaching and then it goes into the psycho? Do people come to you for the psychic and it goes into the coaching, or is it a mixture of both?
They get everything.
Mm,
That's the thing about this. I don't hold back on the psychic side of the life coaching, and I use the Western side of opportunity to give them what I learned through school because I'm educated in life
right?
coaching to give people certain tools to use for them. But what I've done is I've removed a lot of the nonsense from it from my point of view and my
Mm,
perspective. And let's get to the point. We're not playing around here. I'm not waiting for you for 6 weeks to heal. You
yeah.
have this much homework to do. We'll talk about it. We'll move into the following week. We'll move into the following week. And all of a sudden, you literally watch these people grow and change and become an individual to themselves, which
Mm.
is all they've ever wanted,
And
to allow
all
them to
they're
make
meant to
their
be.
own decisions.
Yes.
And that's what we do.
Yeah.
Make your own decision. Stop relying on the expectations of others. You are who you want to be, and you change the environment. You might not
Yes.
be a millionaire. You will make your money to survive. You might not do everything that you've wanted to do, but you're satisfied with your life and your happiness.
The true enrichment abundance is in the meaningful purpose of your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we are of service to one another, that is so utterly enriching, right?
It's that much easier to help one another
It
instead,
is.
instead of taking away or not sharing the ideas. You look at us as psychic mediums or anybody who's in the intuitive world, 60s, 70s, and 80s, even in the 90s, they held all their information to themselves because they
Yeah.
were afraid that somebody was going to take it. I'm educating people. I'm teaching you how to ground yourself. I'm teaching you what to look out for. I'm teaching people that listen to your heart chakra side.
Yes.
Don't listen to the right side. Give yourself permission to be yourself. And then all of a sudden, these doors open up for them. And it's everyone that I talk to. There's not one person that hasn't come back to me and just said, that was cool. I like that. And I'm
Mm.
going, well, you did it. I just gave you the information. So if you think that I did it, you're wrong. And then all of a sudden they realize and go, I really did that on my own.
Yes, exactly.
And then that's giving them permission to do one more thing, one more thing. And then the confidence goes from this to 10 fingers.
Exactly.
That's all.
I do my own show every week, and I've got a series on pearls of wisdom right now, so it's just short shows. But this week, it's actually on your milestones, and that sometimes when you feel you're not getting anywhere, look back 3 months, look back 6 months, look where you were, and look where you are now. Do you need to put your foot to the pedal a bit more? Okay, or was this maybe you only meant to kind of cruise in the second gear? That's okay, but by looking back, it is to see where you were, how far you've come. Celebrate those milestones. You don't have to celebrate the destination. Celebrate the
Absolutely.
milestones along the way.
Celebrate things. I've become a dad for the third time. And um, sorry to my other daughters, I'm much better at a father at this age than I
Mm,
was when I was younger. Am I being punished for it? Oh, yeah. But I, I am giving someone who's going to give back to someone else and break that circle of dysfunctionality.
right. Yes.
I don't want to be punished for it, and I don't allow that to happen. I make people do an inventory on themselves, usually
Mm,
only 5 years. But when I see someone who's anxious and unprepared and not willing to do things, I say, okay, I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. You have an inventory to do on the last 10 years of your life. Come back with something. And
yes. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
do.
Um, if we don't release the past, now I'm not saying you don't have scars and you don't have memories.
All do.
It just means that those scars and those memories don't dictate your life anymore.
Correct.
And they become an education of what not to do. Right.
Hmm.
But for me, everything is about inside out life. And when we truly feel the knowledge, when we truly feel the wisdom, when we truly allow ourselves to download what we need to know when we need to know it, we are always guided. We are never alone. I'm never alone in my universe. I'm never alone in my psychic side. Where I felt lonely is on earth, but never alone in my psychic side at all, because I know I have the whole universe with me. And
And
if
we do.
then we do. If we could just open up to understand that, the powers that be, whether it's people that have passed on or whether it's our extraterrestrials, they are coming. They are going to be showing themselves. They are going to be stepping up and saying, okay, folks, we've waited a long time for you to grow up, right? You've reached a certain vibration now we can show ourselves in, but we're going to have to help you over the next hump because you can't do it on your own.
No. And that's where people are going to get. I use the KISS attitude, keep it simple, silly,
Mm,
and it
mm-hmm.
works.
Yeah.
And we just do the small things, and the small things lead to progression and success. And they look at themselves, and it's nice when you smile about something that you've achieved on your own
Yes.
without anybody else's help. And you're going, oh my God, that is a form of independence. I finally made it there.
Yes, exactly. I had a 10-year-old on, and I thought I'm going to have to change the way I, interview. And she really just blew me away. She'd written a book, 365 Days of Gratitude with a Positive Attitude. And there'd be just simple things. Today, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that. And she said, I really don't understand. If you're that unhappy doing something, why don't you go and do something else? And, we as adults kind of get stuck. I'm miserable. I really don't like doing this, but I'm going back there again tomorrow. And it's like, if you don't like it, it makes you that miserable. Stop doing it. Stop doing it.
And don't tell me that, oh, I'm going to starve, I'm going to do this, I'm
Yeah.
going to do that. Those are excuses.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not hardball, but I mean, I left a very high paying job to take over a business of my own. The first year was hard, and I've never looked back since. I have never felt more a sense of relief and abundance
Yeah.
than being on my own.
Yes. I 100% agree. I feel so totally enriched and abundant. My bank account doesn't match it.
No,
I'm constantly in the
no,
red, you know. But you know what? It's
I'm not taking it with me, and I'm
that,
sorry that
no,
I
no.
can't give everybody a penny.
Obviously, I'd like a little more for sustainability on this planet, especially with everything going up. But the truth of who I am and the people I get to interview, like you, and the contribution that we're giving, because what we're doing is whatever you need. Here in Self-Discovery Media, we've got an answer because we've got somebody who has accepted that process of them, accepted that beautiful gift of who they are, and they're here to help you.
They're
Right?
giving us permission.
I've got that. Yes, it's two P's. The only person who can give you permission is yourself, and that persecution. Nobody else is persecuting. You're persecuting yourself, right?
Yep. And
So
find the right energy, go with it, and go with the flow.
go with the
Your
flow.
flow.
Look at the
Your flow.
energy in your body.
Yep.
Your blood has to flow, your oxygen has to flow, air needs to flow, water needs to flow. Yes, folks, we need to flow. Take down those walls, take down those barriers, take down any form of containments or labeling, and just be the essence of you.
It takes us a long time to get there, but hopefully the younger generations now will start to understand the spiritual side of themselves and grow quicker.
Yes. And I
And
think they're ready
I
for, and
believe it
even the
will.
younger generation, like your child, your
Yep.
daughters, and my grandson, they are, they're intuitive creatures when they're born. They're going to stay that way. They're going to be those future indigo leaders, and we need them. But we've got to accept the change is coming. It's in process. There is a massive change coming. Please do not feel that it's the world out to get you. This is the shaking out everything that is not serving us and preparing us for a better world.
100%.
So how do people get hold of you? What is the process that you go through?
Okay, so everything is pretty easy, and I had a great manager to help me do this at the beginning. So my website is jimhuntofficial.com. I'm on Instagram at the same Jim Hunt Official. Twitter is Jim Hunt Official. My Facebook is Jim Hunt Official. For the Americans that listen to us, um, you're saving a lot of money by booking me. For the Canadians, I'm sorry, man. The government just gets us, and they're
Yes.
paying the full amount, and we have no choice about it. Um, I'm not here to sell myself in this regard. I'm always here to inform. If you want a reliable, honest psychic reading, and if you're looking for someone, we can help you find it. I don't play head games. I'll help all of you as best as I can. I am going to be starting a podcast in late May, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be informative, and we'll always be able to work with one another. So I'm looking forward to all of this, to be honest
What's
with
the
you.
name of the podcast?
Okay. Right now on Instagram, I have allowed people to help me make a name. I have a good following, and I don't know what to call it yet. I do and I don't, but they're going to get a free 50-minute session with me if I go with the name.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also going to be interviewed on my podcast.
Wonderful. So folks, go to his Instagram, Jim Hunt
For now,
Official,
find out
and
where
kind of
I am.
put out a name out there, because you never know what you're going to get in return. And yes, naming, I've changed the name of my platform a few times because you evolve, and the name
Yes.
changes, and the energy around the name changes. So it's it's the difficult one, yes. But I'm looking forward to hearing your podcast. I shall certainly be sending you a few people that I think you will enjoy.
Thank you.
And the more we get this out there, the more it becomes normal and mainstream, the less, spooky or creepy or anything else it's about, because we're talking openly, honestly, and sincerely over what the experience is, that so many people have had experiences, even the deja vu, and they don't realize it is that channeling, it is that knowledge that's trying to speak to them, and they've just got to open up those receptors.
I forgot Jim Hunt official on TikTok.
Oh, you're on TikTok as well, right? So am I. I just don't know how to use it
A
properly.
lot of work. No, it's a lot of attention. But I go live on TikTok and I answer questions on TikTok.
Excellent.
So it's
Excellent. So
fun.
you catch people live there. So folks
Yeah.
take onto his TikTok as well. Thank you for sharing with us today and being so open. The persecution over you is going to stop. There is no more of it because you are just not going to accept it. So you're not going to hear it. Right.
Thank you.
And it is time that we understand that we do not know everything. We are ignorant creatures. But if we step into wonderment, we step into curiosity, we step into something outside of our little minds and realize there's so much more to know. And you're never given more than you need to know.
100%.
All right. So trust that knowingness, listen to it, feel it. You will then be able to articulate it and act on it. Right. And see, activism is ranting or raving about something. Actionism is doing something with it. So thank you so much for sharing here today, Jim.
Sarah, I want to thank you again for having me on, and I look forward to hearing you more often.
Oh, I'm here the next 10 years, definitely. So,
Beautiful. Awesome.
and
Thank you.
folks, please don't be afraid of that little voice inside of you talking to you and asking you to do something or see something or send something. Open up to it. And if you need help, go over to Jim, because once he's activated you, you will not be able to stop the flow, and you will trust the flow, and the flow will guide you wherever you need to go, and you'll never be alone again. So until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. Please tune in to our selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows, and you will see all the other genres that we have from you. Every week on Tuesday, we bring you new shows from illuminating people. If you know someone that should be interviewed, please contact us at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com. Now stay tuned for your next show.